I.S.U.P.K. 53rd Annual Lord Passover.
53rd Annual Lord's Passover is going to be held down here in Florida.
It's going down.
You're here tonight to get a chance to be righteous enough to be worthy of God coming to save you.
That's right.
It's going down. The Lord's 53rd Annual Passover.
When we say we no cowards, we stop that business. We no cowards up in here.
Book your hotels now at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, the IHG Hotel, 301 Tucker Lane, Cocoa Beach, Florida, 32926.
Comes with all your dishes, pots, pans, forks, knives.
I kind of like this. This is like an apartment room and a hotel room. You know what I mean? Yeah. This here right here is about to be holy ground. It's going to be holy ground. All our beautiful, wonderful brothers and sisters from all over the world. You understand? We can boast that now. Brothers and sisters coming not only from every state, but from all over the world. I heard the numbers this year is ridiculous. We had to buy out the whole hotel.
Friday, April 15th at the Space Coast Convention Center.
You cannot debate. You just want the clout. We just want the grades. I'm just trying to get it.
This is going to be glorious.
Give a fuck, you can see it in our faces. Got it out the mud, straight up out the base.
Real time, man, shit. Make sure you let these niggas know what time it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Get on this motherfucker. Let these niggas know what time it is, you understand? We royalty, nigga.
King Ty really one of the realest. I survived drive-bys from them killers. Like I got 9 lives, I got 9 wives. I said fine wine with them bitches. I'm spitting fire bombs in your city. I got like 8 or 9 niggas with me. And we all ready to die in a minute. One West, we the best in the business. I get offended, I fuck niggas spend it. Talking they get it, but niggas is timid. Rappers is softer than linen. Catch me out parking lot pimping. What more could I give them? I've been the hottest forever. Why would I lie about cheddar? I could do better. I just put loyalty first. Royalty coming whenever. Pull off in the Jetta. Curvature on me, you sweater. My flow like wearing a sweater in summertime weather. Haters so salty, no pepper. You not that seasoned or clever. I'm with the rebel. Used to pump bass with the treble. Baking a cake in a kettle. I used to cook up the work. Now I just cook with the metal. Gotta keep foot to the pedal. Yeah, let me give it gas on the highway. Let the music blast on the calm day. Break the Glock down into 3 parts. Put the 3 together like my Najee. Sipping like Bombay with my enclave. Got my mind made. Ain't no time waste. No. Eating prime steak with a fine date at a fine place. Getting violated.
Hey, listen. I already told these niggas. You understand? I call up King Ty. He say, what's up? I say, what's good, my lord? Listen, he like, listen. These niggas ain't ready for none of this. You understand? I said, listen, if the nigga ain't one West, he ain't got on his arm or his chest. I don't give a fuck about the nigga. It's just me and my niggas. We royalty, yeah.
I got the hammer, you running, man. Come through your window like brother man. Snapping your neck like a rubber band. Talking my jaw like the sun is set. He told me murder you rappers. Uppercut sending you vertical actors. Y'all got me coming with verbal attackers. I might attack you type physical too. So y'all be rhyming the way y'all be shining. I'm blinding these rappers like Mr. Magoo. These haters miserable, we indivisible. Look at these haters like they got no clue. No clue. They hold up ones and them W's. Really, bro, don't get too comfortable. If you ain't cut from the cloth, co-signed by the boss, then we do not fuck with you. Cause you wouldn't last here. I told you the same shit last year.
Already told.
Keep talking that trash, I have a car, come kick your ass in.
Already know.
Your jaw like glassware. We pull up, not rocking no mask there. Don't care if you spot us, you know how you got us. It's over, you saying your last prayer.
I.S.U.P.K 53rd Annual Lord Passover.
53rd Annual Lord's Passover is going to be held down here in Florida.
It's going down.
You're here tonight to get a chance to be righteous enough to be worthy of God coming to save you.
That's right.
It's going down. The Lord's 53rd Annual Passover.
When we say we no cowards, we stop that business. We no cowards up in here.
Book your hotels now at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, the IHG Hotel, 301 Tucker Lane, Cocoa Beach, Florida, 32926.
Here's a lot of men down. You dealing with the men of war. We at war. I sided with the
Comes with all your dishes, pots, and forks, knives.
I kind of like this. This is like an apartment room and a hotel room. You know what I mean? This here right here is about to be holy ground. It's going to be holy ground. From all our beautiful, wonderful brothers and sisters from all over the world. You understand? We can boast that now. Brothers and sisters coming not only from every state, but from all over the world. I heard the numbers this year is ridiculous. We had to buy out the whole hotel.
Friday, April 15th at the Space Coast Convention Center.
My camp undefeated. You cannot debate. You just want the clout. We just want the grades. I'm just trying to get it.
This is going to be glorious.
We don't give a fuck, you can see it in our faces. Got it out the mud, straight up out the base.
Tell me how it would look in with the lights. You sure?
This one is in.
It's in the shot.
There we go.
What about now? Seems good. Even if it's a piece, it's too wild. That's that's fine with me. All right. All right. So what we got? What we got? I know not tonight, but now it's Black History Month. And, everybody, rocking with the, 1 second. Everybody up in with, the whole Black History Month shit. You know what I mean? So you have that, you have the whole pride with Black history and, another month to just celebrate it, a whole ton of Negroness, you know what I mean, with no real impact for the Black community, no real change, no real help, no real, solution. You get what I'm saying? All right. So any questions? Online or any class? Go ahead, Ed.
Real quick, would be a good idea, like on my social media, to like every other day or something, put one of the biblical characters there. That's Black history.
You had to break it down if you're putting it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do it, you should break it down. You know what I mean? Make it pertain to something today. Don't just put a biblical character. Like you could put, for example, Samson, right? Samson was a Danite. It might be a long ass post. I don't know how you would do it, Should you are officer, you could just turn your camera on and just talk. Make a, they have software that you could edit videos on your phone where your face is one half and an image is the other half. And you could just get an image of a nigga fighting a lion. That's what they usually use for Samson, right? That's what they usually use for Samson because he killed the lion with the jawbone of her ass, right? And you could break down Samson and what was Samson's downfall. Hold on, Slaki. Let me get his question first, right? Then I'm gonna come back to that. Go ahead, Ed.
Sir, is it 12 if I get a breakdown of why we don't celebrate our birthdays?
Okay.
Or I should say some precepts, sir.
No sweat. Okay, is this for adult or a child?
It's mainly for a child.
For a child? Okay. How old or how young the child is?
Under 10.
Under 10, they've celebrated birthdays all the time? Have they ever had a birthday where they cried because they didn't get what they wanted?
Probably.
Okay, you could use that. That's all of them is good things to use. All right. Because of course most kids always remember that one year that they wanted this and they got this bullshit and they hate it. They remember the disappointment and how disappointed they feel. You get the point of how they felt at the time, and you could use that to explain to them how evil birthdays are, because you're waiting a whole year for this one day. And life, we black people, we living in a prison, and in prison you can't get what you want. So if for instance this year your parents just can't get this one thing you want, now your whole day, your whole year is ruined because you looked forward to this day so much. And you could ask the child, you remember when you were so disappointed or you were so sad or angry, and ask them, who are they angry at? And they would fight to say the parent. Eventually they'll say the parent, and you should now redirect them and say you need to be angry at the day. You need to be angry at the day. The whole celebration is nonsense, because what happens if I can't get it this time? You understand? Or if I ask you for something and I'm really looking forward to it and you can't give it to me because you're a child. If I tell you go and buy me a car and I really want the car, but you're a child, you can't buy it. Now, should I hate you because you can't give me a car? They'll understand, no, I can't do it. And you make them hate the day, hate the custom of it, hate. You point out how selfish it is. You point out how much it's fake love. You want to go to that point. It's actually fake love, because all this is for one day, for one day, for one day. What about the rest of the year? You get the point? So you want to go there. Once again, you could choose whichever approach you want. You could break it down scripturally. But what if this child don't believe in the Bible? They don't give a damn. Or precepts. Now you're going to have to explain the effect that day is having on their mind. You understand what I'm saying? The same thing with some adults. All right. So first, if scripturally I would go what is Proverbs 3:31. What's that? Oh, 3:29. What does that say? Oh Lord. It's crazy.
Proverbs chapter 3:29. Devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee.
No, not that I want. Envy not the oppressor. Envy thou not the oppressor.
Verse 31.
31? No sweat.
Proverbs 3:31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
Keep reading.
Verse 32. For the forward is abomination to the Lord.
All right. So now you could use them too right there. Envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. Right? Birthdays are not an Israelite culture or custom. Birthdays really come from who?
White man.
Just give me a little more specific.
What's it? Greek king or prince?
Okay. Really, it would come straight back. I want to say Egypt, but the culture being pushed, it comes from that Greek Empire, right? Where birthdays come from being king for a day, right? It's the culture of you being in charge for a day, you being king or queen for the day if you're a girl, right? And that's why you get everything you want. That's why everybody serves you on that day, right? Envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. Birthdays come from our oppressor. We should not choose his ways. Give me verse 32.
Verse 32. For the forward is abomination to the Lord.
Because the forward is an abomination to the Lord. What does that mean? Boy?
Because the results of you self-worshiping God hates.
The forward is an abomination to the Lord.
Yeah, I don't have to look up forward.
That's the first thing you should do. It's the first thing.
Forward from Merriam-Webster. Habitually disposed to disobedience and opposition.
That's one. Any others? Shapat?
Forward. Difficult to deal with. Contrary of a person.
Difficulty with contrary of a person. Any more?
The rebellion.
What did you get? What did you get?
My book just had disobedience.
Disobedience. All that is forward. Really is one root. Come on.
I have another one is willfully contrary, not easily managed.
Willfully contrary, not easily managed. Willfully contrary. Meaning what? Break that down small for me. Willfully contrary. Because once again, you're going to break this down to a child. What does willfully contrary mean?
It means like you know you're supposed to go right, but you intentionally go left. You're going the wrong way, or you're going the opposite of what you're being told.
On purpose.
On purpose.
Right? On purpose. You could be contrary and you genuinely just made that decision. It's still the wrong decision, but you not trying to make the wrong decision. You get the point? If you've been alive more than 2 seconds, that's normal. Sometimes you're not trying to do the wrong thing. You get the point? But you end up doing the wrong thing. But then there's somebody who
willfully
does
the
wrong thing. In this context here, we took saying wrong. Contrary, of course, means you have A and B. That's just how our oppressor. That's how our oppressor looks at things. Our oppressor looks at things as A and B. You have a choice. But for this context, it would be the right thing or the wrong thing, or the that's not UPK versus that's UPK. You get the point? It's all about our culture and our ways, which is why it's right and wrong. You get what I'm saying? So now you have somebody who willfully just goes the opposite way. What's the root from that? Where does that come from? No, so let me grab it. The clipboard is ours too? You sure? Let me grab that too. So what too? You sure? You don't need this back? Okay, that'll work. It look better on paper, boy. So what too? Where does that come from?
It's like can you rephrase the question?
The willful action, the willful action, you could remove the shades to please, to what? The willful action of going left instead of going right. Excuse the pun.
The willful action, the willful action of going left versus going right is just disobedience.
But the disobedience comes, that type of disobedience comes from something. Because there's a disobedience that is innocent. Somebody is not, they're not trying to do the wrong thing, but they did the wrong thing. Then there's a disobedience that's willful. Is willful, but okay, it comes from something. It comes from one root.
Learned behavior?
No, it doesn't. It's not learned behavior. No, it becomes learned behavior, but that's not the root. There's a root to that. There's a root to every sort of disobedience, sin, contrary spirit, against the brotherhood. If you're a woman against the sister, there's a root of it. It starts with one thing. What's the root of rebellion? Even rebellion, it starts with one thing. Because rebellion feels good. Feels good to stand for your rights. And just, that's why politicians target universities and college campuses. Because they not taking no shit.
Is it selfishness?
That's good too, but that's not what I'm talking about. No.
A crooked spirit?
No, because even that could be an innocent thing. Even that could be, you could have a spirit that's not where it should be, but that could be fixed. That could be helped. That could be nurtured. That could be taught. You could learn a new behavior. But what I'm talking about is one thing, and it starts with this one thing. Buddy? Okay, rebellion. That's the closest thing we got, right? Why am I rebelling? In my mind, not the analysis. In the person who's revolting or leading the coup or the mutiny or just rebelling, what's in their mind?
They think they know better than the person that's telling them.
And what do you call that? 1 second.
It's in all the movies. I just can't hit it.
It's in the movies? There's a whole Bible here. You reached all the way to Hollywood? God damn. Come on, Kazat.
It's like pride, sir.
Pride. It's rooted in pride. It's rooted in pride. Right? Rebellion is rooted in pride. Right? And don't nobody get simple and say, well, what's he gonna say? Tuesday was proud or Moses was proud? That's not not the rebellion we're talking about. Because the Bible says rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. So then what's he gonna say? They was wrong for that? No, that wasn't rebellion. That's different. Right? The oppressor calls it rebellion, which is going into the topic tonight. The oppressor calls it rebellion. Why? Why does the oppressor call that rebellion and you breaking the status quo?
Because you're supposed to be a slave.
Because
in his mind.
That's true, but because he's proud.
Right.
You understand? Because he's proud. You get the point? So now read the verse 32 one more time again.
Okay. Verse 32. For the froward is abomination to the Lord.
For the froward is an abomination to the Lord. The froward for this context, for your context here, would be proud. Somebody who is proud and just proud in their disobedience, proud in their defiance. That's the best way. Like somebody who would defy you and they're proud. You ever see like a child, the first time kids start saying no back to their parents? No! And just looking at you like, They run the shit. You get the point? Now multiply that by 20 years of experience, and that's the type of spirit you have. You have a rebellion or a defiant spirit it's fed, but the more it defies. Like it's not defined for purpose of being righteous. It's not defined for a purpose of on behalf of somebody else. It's defying from their own pride. Like it feeds that type of person. You get the point? The more they defy, the more they feel empowered, the more they get selfish, the more they get envious, the more they get, they get more. It's like a cycle. The more they rebel, the more they get proud. The more they're proud, the more they rebel. And the more they rebel, the more they get proud. And it just keeps going until the Lord breaks into some pieces. You get the point? So now, for the birthdays, that's how you would break it down for the adult. Because the adult, what happens? What's the song? It's my birthday, I'll cry if I want to. The whole culture of birthdays among adults is so is number one, is demonic. It's so kind of viral because an adult, you can't tell an adult stop celebrating birthday. Anybody ever remember a conversation you had with any adult about birthdays? What was their reaction back?
With my red first thing, she said, show it to me in the Bible. That's the first thing.
But okay, was it like, oh, that's interesting? Show me where that is. I want to learn that. Was it like that? What was it like? No, give me the whole thing out. Don't describe it. Give me the whole thing.
Oh, for real? Show it to me
in the Bible with the whole turkey neck and the sass. You tell somebody, don't celebrate birthdays. Now here comes the Calvaries, the spirit of revolt. What do you mean don't celebrate? You can't tell me what to do. I've been doing this my whole. It's pride. Now with a child, you could control that pride. You could help them out with the pride. You understand? You could start nipping that in the bud, and you could let them know it's absolutely just satanic to now look forward to this one day and have so much emotion involved in this one day, right? One thing you should teach children early is managing disappointment. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You didn't get this, so what? Say no on purpose. You understand? Just tell them no. Don't have them get everything. Right. Do it on purpose to see the reaction, and then you'll know where your child is or where a child is. You don't want to just give them everything all the time, and you don't want to deny them everything all the time. You'll never know what kind of person you have. You want to teach a child disappointment early, not a harsh disappointment, but you can't get that. Right. And see their reaction. And see how well they respond to, well, so-and-so said no. You get the point? See how well they respond to that. That helps. But this year I would take this. I would also give me with Herod with the birthday. Is Herod? I think it was Herod celebrating his birthday.
You told John the Baptist, sir?
I can't remember if it was John the Baptist. It's somewhere in the New Testament. Please.
Come. Matthew chapter 14, verse 6. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod.
Skip up 1 or 2 verses.
Come, sir. Matthew chapter 14, verse 4. For John said unto him, it is not lawful for thee to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet.
Right. This is the one with John the Baptist you was talking about. Right. Go ahead.
But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here John Baptist's head in a charger.
Okay, what is his daughter? The mother wanted to have sex with another man. I believe the mother wanted another man. I think she wanted John to co-sign, and John said no, because she's already married. She inveigled the daughter to tell the father to kill John the Baptist. This is how John the Baptist died. He got his head cut off in prison, right? The mother said, bring me John's head on a platter. That's your birthday. That's birthdays. If you want to help him out some more. That's birthdays. You heard about John the Baptist? Yeah, I heard about John the Baptist. What was he? He was a great prophet. Well, a birthday got him killed. Herod's birthday, his daughter dancing, and he's the king. He like his little daughter, and she dancing and doing whatever little dumb Edomite dance. And say, what do you want? Tell me. Give me John's head on a platter. Happy birthday to you. That was a birthday, right? There's another one. Just had it through my head. Nimrod. You can give him the whole history of that. If the child is, receptive, some children, they ain't of age to be that receptive, you could just explain to them that birthdays is just very selfish if they're very young. It's just a very selfish thing to do, and it would make you into a greedy adult who nobody likes, right? Who nobody likes. Ask any adult who has a birthday party, don't nobody come. And then they lie and say, I keep my circle small. That's because nobody likes your dumb ass and don't want to spend no damn present, no money, no presents because you're selfish and you're greedy and you're stupid, right? It's just explain that part to them. But if they could receive more, you could go into it a little more, break down the psychology of it. And it's one day for the whole year. What happens to the rest of the other year? Rest of the year. Right. All right. You good to go over there? No sweat.
So like, also, if I could, when it comes to holidays and birthdays, stuff like that, like it's honorable for a child to learn to say, I don't do it because my father doesn't do it.
That's what I was getting to. When you hear a child repeating back, no, well, why you don't do it? Because so and so said so. Right. That's the strength you want to put in a young boy or girl. Right. You know what I mean? They don't have to explain themselves. They just have to say, this is my orders. You know what I mean? I get instruction. Right. What do you want? Right. You get the point? Go take it up with him. I'm not explaining nothing to you. So-and-so said this. Daddy said this. Mommy said this. You want to bring them there. Right. You get the point? Don't teach them to explain themselves. Anybody ask you anything, tell them your daddy said so. Tell me, because now if you teach them to try to explain it, they're kids, they're going to get turned around. Right. Because they're kids. You get the point? They don't, their attention spanning that, great like adult. Right. And of course, these teachers and these doctors and pediatricians, you take them to, they try to find a way to make your child their child for 5 minutes and then wreck your whole household. Right. Why don't celebrate birthdays? Oh, so-and-so and so-and-so. Why don't celebrate Christmas? It's a nice time. And, I hear for a shot, nigga. The fuck you talking about Christmas? You know what I mean? So you want to get them to that point. But above all, you want to show them how satanic it is. It's not love. Buying you a gift this day is not, it's nothing. Right. It's really selfish. You understand? All right, anything else? Anybody else?
I have a few questions online, sir.
Please.
It's coming from Sakan Bun Yahawada. Shalom, sir. If I could, may I get a breakdown of Luke 14 and 26?
Okay. Somebody grab it, please. Go ahead, up.
This is the book, Luke 14 and verse 26. If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
Read it one more time.
It's the book of Luke 14, verse 26. If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
He wants a breakdown of something specific.
It just says a breakdown of this person.
Okay, no sweat. All right. Read the first line again. Just the first verse. The first line. Salakia.
If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
All right, good. Anybody want to try it?
This is basically saying everything that you have in your life, you're going to have to turn away in order to follow the Most High, follow Christ.
That's it in a nutshell. What would a Christian reading this say it means?
That you really have to hate them in order to follow Christ.
You really have to hate your father or hate your mother in order to follow Christ. And that's what they would say when you come to the truth. They'll say this thing is making you hate me, right? Go ahead.
Even the like I said, even the brothers and sisters of old, they wouldn't they'd find a way to not honor their parents, right? By saying they're putting the Lord first, right? And they use things like this,
to say. And that's not what it's talking about, because how would they, when they say not honor their parents, what break that down a little bit more for me?
Because in the law, you have a responsibility to honor your parents and to take care of them in their old age. But they'll say, well, I'm sacrificing this, I'm donating this, so I don't have anything to take care of them.
Or they would say, this is how I pay you back by not taking care of them, like revenge. Right? They would say, you used to beat me too much. You didn't buy me enough birthdays, like Mayweather. He wasn't there. My daddy wasn't there for the birthdays. You ever heard him cry and say that shit? All right. It was for $400 million per fight. Right? Shit, if that's the case, I hate all my birthdays. I wish I could take them all back for $400 million. Right? Like, they would use that to say this. But read the last line.
He cannot be my disciple.
Go up one more, comma.
And his own life.
And what?
And his own life.
And his what?
And his own life.
Right. So this cannot mean literally hating your parents, because you would have to hate your own life. Not you, but your own life. You get the point? So now to hate your own life means what?
To be able to give up your life for this work.
Yeah, give me a little more than that.
To change it.
When you say hate your own life, what's the life we're talking about?
The old man and the life of
one word. Get succinct with it.
The life you want to live.
One word.
Repent.
Your lifestyle. That's how you would explain life. Everybody could say, everybody you tell lifestyle would be able to say what their lifestyle is. Well, what's your lifestyle? Me, I'm a homebody. Me, man, I like to turn up. I like to do this. That's their lifestyle. So when you say hate your own life, it's talking about hating your lifestyle. Birthdays is a lifestyle. Christmas is a lifestyle. On February 14th, nobody gonna be black no more. Everybody gonna be hoeing and encouraging hoeing, because that's the lifestyle. You get the point? Christ is saying you have to hate that lifestyle, which means now, what we're talking about with hating your mother, father, sister, brother, wife, children, what is that talking about?
Their lifestyle.
That lifestyle that they subscribe to. The birthday parties that they threw for you, but you in class not giving a damn about no presents. You get the point? The presents staying under the damn tree for 13, 14, 15 days of Christmas, and they're asking you, you're not going to open it? No. And then they open it for you. And they still leave it there because you're not against them. Listen, and what do they say? Why? They say, why do you hate me so much? And what do you say?
I don't hate you, but I hate your lifestyle.
Exactly. That's what it means. That's what the scripture means for the brother who asks the questions. I don't hate you, but it's bullshit here in here. I can't deal with it. But I don't hate you. And then the demon leaves them because the demon is telling them their own son or daughter who they nursed and they buy so much birthday presents for. This person now has the gall to hate them. I don't hate you. This is not personal. I don't hate you. It's that thing you're in. Just like, well, you know, Ma or Pops, you hate me. No, I love you. It's just
your lifestyle.
That cult you're in. This bread and the beard and that crazy old hairstyle and that shit you have on your head. I never. What did they call you? What did they call you? Awadia? I didn't name you that. See, well, you don't hate me, right? No, I love you. I love you too. Now you understand, and then they get more mad. Right. So that's what this here really means. It doesn't mean you have to despise your parents or your siblings or a wife if your wife not in truth, or your husband if your husband not in truth, or your children if you don't have to do that. Fake Israelites, Christians, Muslims, whoever outside of the truth, they would use this to justify harming people who don't believe what you believe. They would use this to justify it, except the part where hate your own life. They stop right there because they don't want to kill their old man. They don't want to do nothing to themselves, but everybody else they'll try to do something to. Right? Good to go with that. Also, give me the other one. He who loves so and so more than me is not worthy of me. Give me that, Yavin, please.
This is the book of Matthew 10, verse 37. He that loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me.
Right. He that loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Now, does that mean you can't take care of your parents because that would be loving them? Hell no, because it's a law. Honor your mother and father. But you love their lifestyle more. And what is love in Christ? When he say love me, what is that? His lifestyle. That's it. You follow his lifestyle, his way of life, his way of doing things, what he likes and what he dislikes, right? Now, if you like what your parents like more than you like what he likes, you're not worthy of following him. It's just it's a sort of separation that most people in the world don't understand, because the world is, so open to everything and everything that involves pleasure. You understand? But this is a very singular mindset, a very singular spirit, a very singular thought pattern. You get the point? Like, you could go anywhere in the world. Once it's UPK, you're going to get the same answer. You're going to get the same greeting. You're going to get the same treatment. You're going to live by the same standard. You get the point? Because we're so singular. Why? Because we like what that person likes. You get the point? That's it. And that's what he's trying to establish, and to build a kingdom, to build a family, to build, just starting a house, to build a family. That the members of that household must agree with your lifestyle as the head of the household. They're going to have to, or else there's going to be conflict. There's going to be some sort of conflict. If it is the household is going to thrive, is going to be because everybody is in tune with the lifestyle or the spirit of whoever is in charge of that, situation. Just think your cities or your states. You have mayors. You go from one state to the next. You in DC, you cross to Virginia. As soon as you cross that bridge, the cops are different. The roads are different. The streets, how they're arranged, is different. Why? Because whoever is in charge there, that's their spirit. But in DC, this is a different spirit here. You go to Texas, it's a different spirit because that's the person in charge. You travel to a different country, the culture there is from who's in charge. You understand? There's a culture, there's a historical culture, from the race that's in charge, and then there's a present time culture from whoever is the person sitting in the seat now, the incumbent, whoever is there now. They have certain things. Trump was president for 4 years. Shit, you don't tell no devil nothing. Especially with them big pickup trucks with the wheels tall to here. You don't want, that's it. You trying to stay clear of them. 4 years before, where was them? They was driving on the same roads with you, going to the same store with you, but you didn't know it. But then when Trump won, that same person, spirit changed. Or they start to show their spirit more. Why? Because they agree with who's in charge. You didn't agree with who was in charge, so we storm the streets and protest. And you get the point? That's life. That's life. And to have any successful establishment, it has to be a unit. It has to be, we all follow this person. We all follow this one thing. I'll give you one more good example of it. Give me Samuel. Give me where David's men said Saul is in that cave. All right, let me know if there's any more questions, all right?
There's another question.
All right, no, so what is it?
Officer Debar Ahmad said, can you break down having sex on the Sabbath day? Because people are saying that the word holy means clean. They are also claiming that Commander General YAHANNA is teaching things that are not taught by the seven heads, chiefly having sex on the Sabbath day being unlawful. Of course, people who left the school after the split.
Listen, if they don't want to do no work on the Sabbath, that's their business. I think all my children was conceived on the Sabbath day. They holy. Yeah, that's their business. I don't know why y'all try to teach these idiots in Salakia. I started to think like that. The kingdom ain't for everybody. Some people just have to get born into the kingdom. I hear you. Okay, you just, if the brother, who's this, Debar Mouth, if you could just type in what scripture they use, because it's really a vague argument. It's a generalization, because they that same pride we was talking about earlier with the rebellion, that's them. And the more they rebel against whatever Commander General YAHANNA says, the more they get proud about it. And the more they get proud, the more they rebel. And with everything, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be the mission to Acuna. He sell out so and so and so. Right. Passover. Why you gotta pay for it? Whatever. It's just whatever he says. It's time to come up against him because they feel good about rebelling. Right. And that argument has absolutely zero basis. If it's against the law to do it, you're gonna have to show me it in the law that having sex on the Sabbath day is unlawful. That's where you ought to go. You ought to go, give me the law where, what's the punishment? Thou shalt not do. Anybody found doing so would be, stoned to death, or their blood will be upon them, or such and such, and blah, blah, blah. There's no law against it. Right. That's first and foremost, and you have to stick there with it. That's that. All right, come on.
The broad, she's using Exodus 20 and 8.
Oh, you know what he's talking about? Yeah, God damn. He's on there. Go to the metaverse, man. The first camp in the metaverse. Where's the one with Saul?
Oh, I got it, sir. 1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the men of us, like we started verse 3, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 3. And he came to the sheep cotes by the way.
That's what I was looking for.
It was a cave.
Was it coats? That's what I was looking for. To water. Mm-hmm.
And Saul went in to cover his feet. And David.
Hold on. Start at 1.
1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass when Saul was returned from following the Philistines that it was told him, saying, Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-Gedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of Israel and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats.
Right. Now, understand this. Whenever they say, typically in any depiction of Saul and David, because they depict this in one of them biblical shows, movies they have. I forget which one it is. Not 10 Commandments. It might be. But one of them they depict it. How do they show David rolling? How in your mind, just from being in the world, how much men you think is with David? Like a handful of men.
Right.
You don't take 3,000 people for a handful of men. Right. You get the point? That's the first thing. Once David fled after Jonathan, men who, remember, he was the captain in the army, right? Men who was loyal to him rolled with him. Men who was what? In his spirit,
right, rolled
with him. Saul took 3,000 men who was following him to go get David. Keep going.
At verse 3, and he came to the sheepcotes by the way, where was a cave, and Saul went in to cover his feet, and David and his men remained in the sides of the cave. And the men of David said unto him, Behold, the day of which the Lord said unto thee, Behold, I will deliver thine enemy into thine hand, that thou mayest do to him as it shall seem good unto thee.
Okay, so David's men went to him and said what? Basically, break it down to today's language.
We caught that nigga slipping. We got him.
It'll slide. It'll slide on him, right? And they said what? This is the day the Lord said. You, David, how you gonna go against the Lord? God said this day would come.
Right.
Come on.
And the heavy part about it is God did say that day would come. The Lord did say that day would come. Word for word, he's actually quoting what the Lord would say, which brings us to the question that about sex on the Sabbath. There's a lot of things you could quote, but who the Lord reveals it to is who the Lord reveals it to.
And even, okay, that ain't what he was talking about here.
Right.
Saul ain't the enemy here.
Right.
You get the point?
Okay.
Why is the man going to David saying the days come that the Lord will deliver your enemy into your hands to do what you will with them?
Because in their mind, this was the opportunity.
A little deeper than that.
Like, so it would have been easier to end it right there after being on a run for so long.
That's where you had to get to. These brothers was on the run arc. And remember, David was captain of the army. Right. Leading. These men who rolled with him had power and might.
Right.
And these men sleeping in cornfields. Right. Eating raw corn. Had to go and, pose up as bodyguards for dumbass and the ball. You understand?
Right.
And have some broad come out there with bread, with donkeys with bread. Now, these is men who were serving in the king's army. You niggas ready to go back home, man?
Yeah.
Come on.
They had to beg for the showbread.
They had to beg for the showbread. They had to come in there and negotiate for showbread. When are we going back home? Listen, this is the Barakatha Yahweh. The Lord said. You understand?
Right.
This is the end of problems. This is the end of pain. This is the end of embarrassment. Niggas talking about having sex on the Sabbath. How much Sabbaths them niggas miss without their woman?
Right.
Being on the run with David, the enemy of the state. That's why Saul came with 3,000 men. Right. The enemy of the state. They're ready to this is it.
Right.
This is, let's do it. Let's get it in.
Right.
Keep reading.
And it came to then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privily.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's skirt. And he said unto his men, the Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch
I
forth.
stop right there. When he said David cut off his skirt, what does that mean?
He cut off a piece of his garment.
No.
He was showing that he was showing.
What is the skirt? What is the skirt?
The skirt his.
You had to answer that, because the dummy who said you can't have sex on the Sabbath gonna say Saul was wearing a skirt.
That was his garment, his war garment.
What is the skirt?
The fringes.
The fringes. The skirt would be the fringes.
Right.
When you see skirt or hem in the Bible, it's talking about the fringes. David went there and cut a piece of the fringes, where the fringes would be, or the lower part of your garment.
Right.
He cut it off, right? Egyptian chapter. Go ahead. Read from the skirt.
Then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privily. And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's skirt.
Right now, David went and cut off the hem or the fringes privily, meaning privately. Right. At the point, he didn't take men with him. He snuck in there cool and calm, nobody knew, and did it. But once he did it, how did David feel?
He felt ashamed.
That's the best way to put it. Ashamed. Keep going.
And came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's skirt. And he said unto his men, the Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch forth mine hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord.
Read it one more time.
And he said unto his men, the Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch forth mine hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord.
Break it down.
David, he honored Saul, still honored him, even though he did what he did, even though he was trying to kill him. He still honored him.
He honored him, and he didn't seek revenge. But why? Okay, he honored him, but give me the difference between the Lord delivering your enemy into your hands to now David saying, I honor you, the Lord's anointed.
Would it be, if there was no way, like if they were in battle, and then he fell to your sword, would that be delivering the Most High delivering the enemy into your?
That wasn't Saul he was talking about.
Right.
That wasn't Saul he was talking about. The enemies there is not Saul. The enemies there is the Philistines and the Hagarenes and everybody who, them 200 niggas who lost their foreskins. that's who we talking about. You get the point? That wasn't who he's talking. Wasn't who the Lord is talking about here. You get the point?
So like he said, he's referring that King Saul was still king.
He was still king. Saul was still king of Israel. He was still in charge. He was still the anointed. If he go do this thing here now, later on, how would David not be king?
Same way.
The same way. David understood the spirit of Christ and the spirit of the Lord. He was on the same mind with the spirit of the Lord. You get the point?
Right.
His men wanted to rule. Now read on after that.
And David, so David stayed his servants with these words and suffered them not to rise against Saul.
So David did what?
So David stayed his servants with these words and suffered them not to rise against Saul.
What break that down for me?
David told his men to stand down.
And what did they say? Guy boy.
They bucked at him. They wanted to go at him.
Did they say that there? What did they say? Read the scripture again.
So David stayed his servants with these words and suffered them not to rise against Saul.
So what did David tell these men?
He told them, don't go after Saul.
Stand down. What does his men say? It ain't there, but you know what they say, because you're supposed to be a soldier.
Right. Oh, they say calm on one calm.
That's it.
Right.
Why would they say calm on one calm?
Because they follow orders.
They
and the spirit of David.
They in the spirit of who in charge.
Right.
You understand? They have what they want to do, but he's in charge.
Right.
So they doing what he want to do.
Right.
Saul in charge.
Right.
David is not going to kill Saul. Get the point? Come on.
So also when it says they stayed, that term could also mean he appeased them.
Not appeased them, but he stayed them. He is okay. I understand what you're saying, meaning like, okay, if you explain it like that, it's almost like he talked them down. So it's like a back and forth. So that's not what it is. It's staying, meaning the staying is talking about the desire to go forward, the desire to go and kill him, the desire to take it. He stayed them with these words. The words he said before, he said, I ain't going to touch the Lord's anointed. And his men was like, man, that's why I follow you, nigga.
Right.
That's why I follow you. Get the point? That happens so many times. I can't even tell you. I told you about General Katham when he went up against that cop in D.C. After that, boy, shit. If you want coffee from Mount Kilimanjaro, I'm going. You get the point? And it happens so that same thing will happen to you so many different times in the work of the Lord, and it will show where you are. It'll show where you are with the man who's in charge. It'll show it. Because now, at a glance, everything seems right to go take Saul.
Right.
Nobody would fault David for taking Saul at that point, right or wrong. Because he's supposed to be king. David knew better. And now his men, being loyal with him, stood with him when he said, "La." You get the point?
Right.
Like that's you're gonna have to have that to build a strong society. If you don't have that, brother, you just you have America. You have the East Wing and the West Wing, the North and the South, the Democrats and the Republicans. Right? You're gonna have that if you don't have that one spirit flowing from top to bottom. Right? Come on.
So like I said, if I may, just on this topic, so would that make the men that followed Saul who were in his spirit, would that have made those soldiers wrong in this situation?
No. You're gonna have to understand the whole politics of what was happening with Saul.
Okay.
It wasn't widely known that David was king. David was anointed in secret, remember?
Okay.
The Lord told Samuel, go find him and anoint him.
Right.
And he told what Samuel told David's father, this was, I forget what it was, but it wasn't he's king.
Right.
He told him it's something else. Find it from him if you could.
Okay.
It was something else he said he was coming to anoint him for, but it wasn't to make him king.
Right.
But Samuel knew he was the next one. Now, Saul was what? What did he end up becoming? I'm still on topic from what we're discussing all night. Proud, and then came rebellion. Get the point?
Right.
Started to get proud. Why?
Because he knew David was going to replace him.
Before that, he didn't even know David was going to replace him. At first, he loved David. Saul loved that nigga. Sis?
Was it because they were praising David more than him?
Before Saul's pride, before that, Saul was a mighty king in Israel, extremely mighty, won a ton of wars, killed a lot of Philistines,
And was the first king.
and was the first king when Israel rebelled against the Lord and said, we want a king to be just like the heathens. The Lord said, no problem. This man gonna be the king. Go ahead. No, before all of that, right? Goliath is a little bit later with Saul, but Saul he gained a great reputation. Remember, the woman was singing, Saul killed thousands. David killed tens of thousands. Saul didn't have no light working on. Saul had work. They say how all the gold and stuff he brought in from the wars. So with that comes what? The pride. Because he's not looking at it as this is the Lord. He started to believe in himself now. You get the point? And once that starts to happen, you start rebelling. And it was a series of rebellions. We don't have time to go into it tonight. Well, not rebellions, but disobedience. That one with the sheep, with Amalek, that's not the first one. That was the last one. You read before, there was, I think, 2 or 3 separate things before Saul was supposed to do, and he didn't do it. And that thing with Amalek, he didn't do it. And not only did he not do it, when Samuel asked him, he lied. And Samuel said, who you think you lying against? You get the point? And that's when the Lord was like, I'm done with it. It wasn't just one thing. It was a series of things leading up. You get it? Come on.
One of them was when Samuel delayed and he went ahead and did the sacrifice himself.
There's another one with when he banned everybody. He had everybody fast to win a war. I don't want to misquote it. And Jonathan didn't know. And Jonathan came back from war celebrating because Jonathan didn't win the war and ate. And he had to go back on his way. It was a whole ton of mess. But over time, Saul started to now habitually disobey the Lord. Started to habitually disobey what he was supposed to do. And with Amalek, think of it, don't think of it like, it's just that was the last time. And when he lied about it, it just made the shit worse. And that was it. So now David he was the next one, but he was anointed in secret. Because if he was anointed publicly, what would have happened? Yeah, that would have been it. He would have fought Goliath as king. Get the point? He did not fight Goliath as king. He fought Goliath as what? His little brother's young brother who always gets into trouble, who spoke out of turn. Remember, he went in there and said, none of y'all gonna let this uncircumcised something shame Israel. He fought Goliath as a young boy who didn't know his place, who's always in trouble. He didn't fight Goliath as king, even though he was anointed. So you got to look at it from the politics of the history of what happened. From there, Saul made him armor bearer. And of course, he was skillful with the harp, the guitar. He would play music. Saul loved him, made him captain of the army, promised him his daughter. And then the demon took him. And it was a love-hate relationship with Saul and David all the way until the end. After this thing here, with him, David showed Saul the fringe and said, my Lord, I could have killed you, and I didn't, because you the king, you my anointed, you the one raised me up. You talked to him. And Saul cried and repented and said, I forgive you, come home. David said, let chill for a little bit, let him not go back right away. By the time Saul reached back home, he hated him again. You get the point? But it was a love-hate relationship with it. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And then what happened? Saul got killed. Saul got killed. His son rose up. And now it became a thing between David and the son. And David's captain fought the son's captain, Joab and Abner. It was a whole thing. Even Abner, at one point, Abner, after the Saul's son, who was just a bastard, he accused Abner of doing some shit, I think, with one of Saul's wives. And Abner had it, because Abner was losing wars to Joab, which was David's side, over time. And Abner said, F this. Abner was the captain of the army. Abner said, I'm going to translate Israel to David because of this bullshit you just said, and went to make a deal with David. Because up until then, it wasn't clear who would have been the king. You understand? It wasn't clear. It wasn't a clear thing. And anytime a decision can't be made with the Lord, conflict has to happen to show who the Lord is with. You get the point? So it's, you can't say those men are wrong. They're loyal to him. They're loyal to those men. Now, if those men knew David was king and still did that, that would be mutiny or You get the point? That's something different. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just how life. That's Israel. That's just how life is with Israel. Come on.
I have it where he came to Jesse to anoint him.
Please.
Okay, this is 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 4. And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming and said, Comest thou peaceably? Verse 5. And he said,
right, that should let you know something about the man of the Lord. Right. It wasn't like the Pope coming to town. Right. It wasn't the Pope driving around in one of them little Volkswagen Beetle because he's so humble. Right. You understand? The Pope coming to town surely is to kill everybody here. This thing, that's how it should be in Samuel.
Maybe I just don't understand it, but why didn't the throne go to David after Saul, like immediately right after?
Because when a king dies, who's the next in line? Exactly.
Okay. So when David was anointed,
that's what we're reading here. Hold on, read it a little more. Slaki, or are you gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say the Pope or the Christian pastor, like when he comes with his three-piece suit.
When Al Sharpton went down to St. Louis, it should have been death coming, but instead, 3 days later, Michael Brown was beating up the store clerk and robbing him. Because after Al Sharpton went down there, that tape came out. You understand? That's the difference with the man of the Lord. Samuel come riding on a horse. The people were scared because somebody was about to lose their head. You get the point? Read on a little bit so the brother could understand.
Verse 5. And he said, Peaceably, I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons and called them to the sacrifice.
Right. So he told them he coming to sacrifice and to sanctify yourselves unto the Lord. He didn't tell nobody he was coming to anoint David. Right. David was anointed in secret. Even unto his father. His father seen the anointing, but he didn't know this meant king of Israel. Right. The only person who knew was Samuel. You get the point? Right. Now, that whole thing with David and Saul could have went different. Remember, Saul gave him the daughter. Mm-hmm. Saul could have just passed the crown to him. He could have said, you know what, man? I have a son, Jonathan. He good. He younger than you, but you my son-in-law. I'm going to give you the crown. It could have went that way. It didn't go that way. Right. You get the point? It did not go that way. This was the next one. And that's how the Lord worked it out for what? Genesis 49, Judah, the scepter will not depart from Judah. The scepter was with Saul first. It departed his house. It went to Judah. Since it went to Judah, it did not depart. Right. However, when David was anointed, he wasn't king. He was not. He was not put on the throne and made to rule. It wasn't like that. He had to do what? Come through the ranks, right, and learn and understand and do things. And now he's ready to take the throne. Right. Now he's ready. You get the point? It was you have to read it to understand it. They didn't know David was king. Right. They did not know, but David started to rise in power and rise a little bit more and more. And it's like, damn, he's starting to win wars. He's starting to win more. Then when they had the civil war, at first Abner was putting a beating on them. Then Joab and them started to whoop their ass. Mm-hmm. And more. And they was fighting for years. This was over like 10 years. David took wives and raised up sons in the war. It was years. And then that should happen with Abner. And Abner knew that was the Lord showing him he was fighting for the wrong side. And then Abner went to David and said, I'm going to go to war with Israel for you. Anybody who say they don't want to come under you, I'm going to slaughter them. And then as soon as he left, Joab killed him. And then as soon as he left, Joab said, you killed my brother. All right, no sweat. I got you. He killed him. And then David said what? David cried. David cried and said, I want, at the funeral, David told all Israel, I had nothing to do with this goddamn death. This was not my will. I don't know what the hell going on. And then on his deathbed, what he tells Solomon?
He said to kill Joab because of what?
Not just Joab. He said that whole line had to die. He said because of what he did, because I was trying to unite Israel and Joab could not forgive. Right. Like how David forgave in the cave. Right. say, don't let Joab go down to his grave easy. Don't let him do it.
Like I said, this on topic, it shows the consequence of deviating from the spirit of the man that's in charge.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. Joab could not let go of what he wanted to do in that moment because of the grief of his brother.
Right.
And he just coming back in from war. They tell him Abner came. He's like, you don't say. Where? No sweat. Tell him David calling him back.
Right.
And killed him.
Like, it's the way he killed him too. It's the way he killed him just so messed up.
It was grimy.
Yeah, he acted like he wanted to hug the brother.
You know, it's good and grimy. These are things that make the Bible. It makes it enjoyable. It was good and grimy. Listen, they do that all the time in movies. What you want? Everybody like power, right? Tariq killed his father just like Joab killed Abner. What the fuck you want? He went to him, hey, Tariq was gonna bow, he killed him. That's the Bible is the best story in the world. But the Christians don't like it because it's about killing and killing wicked niggas, and Christians are wicked niggas. So they're reading about themselves dying. They hate the Old Testament. They hate the Apocrypha. They only want love, 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 and love. Nobody wants the hate and the judgment. Nobody likes that. Or I should say wicked niggas don't like hate and judgment because they're the ones who is aimed against. You understand what I'm saying with David now? It wasn't he was anointed, put him on the throne. It wasn't like that. It was never like that. You get the point? And that's really not how the Lord would operate anyway. That's not how he operates. All right? We good? What's the other question we had?
That was the other question.
No, somebody was holding something with the Sabbath day with what's the scripture?
Exodus 20:8, sir.
Please.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. So, if I may, sir, just some context. So
the barman tie back in anything?
Lie, sir.
No, sir.
Sir, this was some context. The bride was saying that having sex on the Sabbath day makes you unholy. So, like what we were saying to her back and forth, because it was just like, yo, do you know what the word holy means?
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, yeah, it means to be clean. And so,
no,
right, that's where she went wrong. And we was like, no, it means set apart. And really, what it was is she just really just a Christian. She's a
I don't know how you'll let women get away with arguing with your Salakia. I had to start talking about her menstrual cycle. So that means she can't bleed on the Sabbath because she'll be unclean.
Right.
You gotta use her word against her.
Right.
If the Sabbath, if holy means to be clean and you can't do unholy things or things that will make you unclean on the Sabbath, then Friday you better tell that thing stop until Sunday. Then you would break the Sabbath and I had to put you to death. And then you should shut your mouth, woman, and cover your head and don't speak in the church, and I forbid you to usurp authority, and just hammer her until she block you. And then you try, parade because you done rebuked a bitch. Excuse my language. You know what I mean? Like that's absolutely crazy and insane. Somebody probably don't want to touch her on the Sabbath. That's why she want to make it law.
That's why I asked. I was like, what's
she mad because all her girlfriends getting torn out the frame Saturday at noon. Right. She ain't getting nothing. Right. Dust balls. Mad. Come on.
That's why I asked her. I was like, what's your husband's stance on sex on Sabbath? And that's when she stopped responding.
Yeah, because her husband's stance is ghost. The husband ain't there. Right. He in the house where he getting something on the Sabbath. Dumb as shit. Read the one you have.
That was it, sir.
Read it again, Salakia.
Oh, God, sir. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
That's it? Okay, yeah. I wouldn't waste time with that fool. Yeah. Like that's where I would go with her. If some woman arguing, then she could never bleed on a Saturday because she's unclean. Right. And if holy means to be clean, and sex makes me unclean and I'm breaking the Sabbath, then what comes out between your legs every month better never ever fall on a Sabbath day, because now you unclean and you breaking the Sabbath. So now do I have to put you to death? Right. No, that's natural. Sex is natural between a man and a woman. It's natural just like that period. Now, if your period is not natural, if sex is not natural, then that menstrual cycle is not natural and you have to be put to death on the Sabbath. Any other day is good, just like the sex. You get the point, the bar? I hope you understand, right? God damn. Any other one? No sweat. Let's get okay, let me get some of these Virginian luxuries. Give me Virginian luxuries. You could put the picture up on the screen and pull any definition of it real quick, all right? You all know Black History Month. I'm touching a little something a little bit and how it affects us today. All right, anybody knows what Virginian luxuries is? Anybody ever heard the term? Oh, Salaki. All right, pull what you have.
Okay. Virginian luxuries. A well-dressed white man, presumably a slaveholder, kisses an enslaved woman. And in a parallel scene, a white man canes a male slave in a painting titled Virginian Luxuries.
Mm-hmm.
On the reverse side of the canvas is a portrait of an unidentified man. This painting was made about 1825, probably in New England by an unknown artist.
No sweat. Anything else?
I had another one. Another article, sir.
No sweat. I'll take that too.
Come on, sir. Says,
all right. So that was the name of the painting, Virginian Luxuries, right? Virginian Luxuries. One side is the oppressor forcing himself on a sister. The other side is the oppressor beating a brother, caning a brother. And they said this was Virginian Luxuries. Arwadia? Mm-hmm.
This image shows the evils of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
On the left panel, a white man attempts to kiss a black woman, apparently against her will. On the right panel, a white man beats a male slave. The title, Virginian Luxuries, suggests the excesses of slavery and the beginning of anti-slavery sentiment after the American Revolution.
All right. I'll take that. You have any more? Any more on it? Hold that one if you don't have no more, all right? Because I was reading another one.
Yeah, couple cuts, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a vision of slavery. The unknown artist depicts a well-dressed slaveholder as he caresses and kisses an enslaved woman, and in a parallel scene, another white man, his brow furrowed in anger as he canes a shirtless male slave. The chilling title, Virginian Luxuries, is written in block letters beneath these horrific scenes of plantation life. The Colonial Williamsburg Foundation owns this two-sided painting, but knows little of its provenance beyond the fact that it was once in the hands of a Connecticut family.
Yeah, Williamsburg, they deny knowing what it means. Right. We know that's a lie.
Right.
Why the hell would you buy a painting you don't understand?
Right.
Right. They bought that because it symbolizes their power.
Right.
All right. Anybody else was going to say anything on it? Okay, so come on.
They know what everything means except for that. Like
except for that is
how old the dinosaur bones were. Everything.
But this painting they can't figure out. They could not quite. What is he doing? Is he dancing? What is he doing? They can't figure this one out though. Right. So now the one ROI they had with the excesses, like this was a painting that came about right around the time you had the abolitionists starting to speak out, the Quakers, and what's the other one from England? I forget his name. What the hell is his name? Anyway, who they all say was speaking out against slavery and started the whole, political move to end it. But really what it was slavery was beginning to get expensive. It was the yield. It reached a point where the revolts on the plantations were more frequent. It was costing much more to rebuild the plantations. The losses were too much. The yield started to drop. You had the advent of the Industrial Revolution. So now you have these abolitionists who are really like the white allies for Black Lives Matter. They're just safe white people who just want to feel better about themselves, who's starting to bring up, but they have power. They have influence. They're starting to bring up the talk about anti-slavery rhetoric. And this painting was done to show the, read the part again with the excesses.
Apparently, against her will, on the right panel, a white man beats a male slave. The title, Virginian Luxuries, suggests the excesses of slavery and the beginning of anti-slavery sentiment.
Right? It suggests the excesses of slavery and the beginning of the anti-slavery. What?
And the beginnings of anti-slavery sentiments.
Sentiments, right? The sentiments, of course, is the thoughts, the whole thought of it, because before, Black people was just the cow or the dog, the cat. You get the point? It was, you would not think of a brother or sister like a person if you're an oppressor. But the whole thought, the sentiment, the thought to express that this person is a human being, it started to come up. And now this painting was done to show the excesses of slavery. Excesses meaning what? Just think the things you enjoy, the cream at the top of something that's over the top and spilling over, the excesses of slavery, right? The things you enjoy, the things you would do willingly that you enjoy. Now, slavery was what? Free labor. Pick the cotton, cut the cane, load this, hit that field. This other thing here became an, what's another word for it today? Perks. The excesses of slavery is like the perks of slavery, or the benefits, or the privileges that you get to enjoy because of who you are. Come on. Please.
When they say the excesses, is that relating straight to the luxuries?
That's why they call it Virginian luxuries. Okay. You understand? The luxuries, like what you enjoy, the luxurious lifestyles. Right. There's certain luxuries that people have. Even today, you have a certain level of luxury at our level. Right. They come in the form of Jordans, Birkin bags if you're a sister, a new iPhone, some, you know, you usually drink E&J, but tonight you're drinking, what do you drink? What y'all drinkers on? Douce. Say again? MD 2020. Where the Hennessy crew? I get Hennessy in the back? Glenn Levitt. 1738. You see what I'm saying? That's luxuries for us. That's our luxuries. That usually comes around what? Tax time. You know, you do a little scratch off. You know what I mean? You all forget cars. Nobody ain't saying nothing about them cars. Them lemons you all buy for 3 weeks with that damn tax money. And then you're back on the bus. He was luxurious for 3 weeks. Well, listen, these devils was raping your woman as a luxury. They would beat brothers as a luxury. And the painting was to depict what they enjoyed, the excess of slavery, not the money or the trade agreements or the bales of, you know, cane or whatever, which would come direct from slavery. This is the overflow. This is what flows over. And this was something they enjoyed as a luxury. You get the point? So you would have, so now this painting comes about. Now, what is the two dynamics of this painting? Because it's damn near like two separate paintings they put together, and they're showing you something. Come on. Lust and power. Take that.
Rape and abuse. Rape on the woman and abuse of the male.
Rape on the woman, abuse on the man.
According to the image.
I'll take that. What else we have?
also say raping and breaking the buck.
Raping and breaking the buck.
Domination over the white family.
Domination over the black family is another dynamic. Anything else?
Willie Lynch.
Willie Lynch. Now, y'all know Willie Lynch that should never happen, right? Right? No sweat. But the theory of it is real. The points he's saying has basis. But no man ever, there's no historical record of a man going under a tree talking to people about how to make a slave. You get the point? But what is written in theory has basis. What else? Salaki, that thing might fall. Could move it from there. Let the guard secure it, all right? Go ahead.
All right. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember the exact scripture, but you will not have might in thy hand. Can that apply to the singular person too?
Yeah, that a few verses there apply to this, right? We'll definitely post some before we close out. So you have a whole ton of different aspects in that same picture. Right. You have one where there's a woman with no protection, and then the protection is being destroyed on the other side. Right. Now, at one time, the historical description of the picture, it says on the left side, a white man is forcefully kissing the girl. Right. What do you have today? Which is not by force, right. Which is of her own will, right. With no, come on.
It's like there was a sister that went on social media saying, she's done with black men.
I think that's what you said to me, right? Yeah, go. That was real, or it was made up? It was a real thing, guys.
And then she went on a dating app saying she's about to go out with this white man, and now she's missing.
Pride.
She's dead. She's dead.
Hey, with pride. That's pride. She was proud. She thought she was better than a nigga to lay down with a nigga. Who wants that? Ugh. She's on sex on the Sabbath is unclean. Yep. And she thought it was the pride came first, and then the rebellion. Right. You want a white man, go have him secretly, but you had to go on the internet, and it's the first time I'm gonna have sex with a real man. That's a stab at every man she had sex with before, and black men in general. She disrespected. The Lord don't like that shit out. Right. You know what I mean? Sorry that happened to the sister, but so example. Right. You understand? That's the pride and the rebellion. They go hand in hand, and then shortly after is your demise. It's better to learn the lesson early. Learn the little taps you get it. The little taps that you can recover from. Until before you get the full backhand, and now we had to, anoint you and wrap you in white and put you in the ground. You get the point? And that's what happened to her. I thought the whole thing was fake with that shit, but that shit was real. Yikes! Did they arrest him? No. Listen, that's what I was trying to get to today with the whole luxuries, boy. Because Salaki, come on, I'm gonna get to it.
Salaki, if I may, it's going off, like you said, the perks during slavery. I was doing research on Black Friday, and what I found out is back in the slavery days when they had our sisters on the sex farms, they had the high top slave masters that would come and visit the sisters, and they would do these exotic dances, and he'll pick which slave master he want to have sex with. And today, that's where we get the so-called strip clubs from. So that whatever gets it like the perks going back from slavery today.
Okay, I didn't even know if that's a luxury today. I don't think that's a perk. I think that's just normal. I think that's just that's just the normal from slavery. You get the point? The excesses of slavery that you would have today, your excesses today would be Michael Brown. Right. You understand? Eric Garner. Darren Wilson went on TV and said, "What about Michael Brown? He was a giant. He was Hulk. He was so strong. Would you do it again?" Yes. He said yes. And then he said, "Yeah, my last shot, I saw the top of his head and I put it right there. He said that. You could pull the interview. If you want, you could pull it up. That's not nothing with NBC. If it says NBC, don't play it. But I believe it's an ABC interview. He said I hit him a few times and he lunged at me. This is a man falling after being shot. But the oppressor said he lunged at me. He has to word it like that because he has to enjoy Virginian luxuries. So as he's falling and he see the crown of his head, kill shot. Right. The man asked him, would you do it again? Yes. Right. Because that's the excesses of slavery. Right. You get the point? That's the excesses of slavery for the oppressor. Right? That's their, their pride and joy. Ahmaud Arbery. Right. They was enjoying a good hunt. Yeah, I kind of spoil it with Al-Sharpton. You hear the prosecutor say we don't want no more black pastors down here messing up our Virginian luxuries. Right. We've been killing niggas for centuries down here. Right. Who the hell is you to give these men life? What you talking about? You get the point? What and
what you said is so ingrained in American society that's what that January 6th insurrection was really about. It was really rooted not in who was president, but more so who's going to allow us to keep these luxuries of doing these evil things to these niggas and these spicks and these niggas.
Because it was rooted in the hatred of black people.
Right.
Get the point? Come and say it.
I just want to say an example of Virginia luxuries that happens nationwide now. The executives that be forcing themselves on the women, and like you could either keep your job or get a promotion if you.
I'll take that too, but that's their normal way of life. You get the point? That's definitely their normal way, but I'll take that too because, of course, the forcing themselves. Go ahead.
So can we say that the excesses have turned normal?
Okay, this is what the excesses then. The excesses is the same, but some of it is okay. How do I describe it? The excesses change with the time. It's the same, but it changed with the time. Now, this is like that was cultural. That was a cultural thing to enjoy doing those things at that time. That's why they fought so hard to keep them, because for our oppressor, it was like, what you talking about? Right. I could do this. This is what I could do. Right. You taking away my right. I have a right to do this. It's all God. It's my destiny. Right. You have that same thing now, but now general society enjoys the successes, the excesses. You get the point? Then you would have the plantation owners. This wasn't. Not every single oppressor who lived in the Americas had slaves. You get the point? You still had your poor white trash. You get the point? You had your rich people who would do it. You had your hired hands who was of a lower class as well, who would be there. But not every single person. But now today, you have just a regular cop could enjoy the excesses, the Virginian luxury. You get what I'm saying? A regular person could enjoy Virginia. Zimmerman enjoyed Virginian luxuries. He enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm in pursuit. Don't do nothing. No, they always get away. They always get away. He's enjoying Virginian luxuries. You understand? You ain't find it, Bakwash?
So, I'm just trying to make sure this is the proper.
Oh, the parts. Yeah, you'll see. He actually does the thing with the gun. He said, I saw the top of his head. And I put the shot right there. And then the reporter asked him, well, would you do it again? And he said, yes, I would. Because you're not going to make him feel ashamed for... Can anybody make you feel ashamed for drinking Douce? Nah. Or buying that car with the tax money? Nah. That's your money, right? You could drink what you want. It's my party. I'll cry if I want to. Right. You're not going to make them feel ashamed for strangling Eric Garner, for murdering Sandra Bland, for destroying Trayvon Martin. Some brother posted an interview with Emmett Till's mother, and she described in his face, you're not making that white woman feel ashamed for lying, and them men who beat him to death, you're not going to make them feel ashamed for that shit. Right. That's Virginian luxuries. This is This is what we've been working. This is the bonus. What you talking about?
What you saying is so heavy about George Zimmerman. He got to kill Trayvon and auction the gun off.
And auction the gun off. He got to kill him, auction the gun. Skittles make money. The hoodie people make money. You know what I mean? They enjoyed Virginian luxuries. They enjoy spoiling us. They enjoy, you know, destroying us. They live, they devour us, right? Give me hold right there. Give me Ezekiel. Give me beast of the field. Beasts.
The one in Isaiah, sir?
Is Isaiah? Would they devour the children of Israel? Yeah, that's what I want.
Isaiah chapter 56, verse 9. All ye beasts of the field come to devour. Yea, all ye beasts in the forest. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs.
All right, that's a good one. That's not the one I want to, but I'll take that. Right? The beasts, they come to devour. They come to devour. What's the other one I want? I think it's Ezekiel. Go ahead. Let me hear you. That sounds right.
This is the book of Ezekiel 33, verse 27. Say thou thus unto them, thus say the Lord God, as I live, surely they that are in the life, surely they that I read that over this.
No, sweat. Take your time. Start from the top. Take your time.
Verse 27. Say thou thus unto them, thus say.
Read it again from the top.
Say thou thus unto them.
That's right.
Thus say the Lord God.
Right.
As I live.
Go ahead.
Surely they that are in the waste shall fall by the sword, and him that is in the open field will I give to the beast to be devoured.
Not that one. Go ahead. Hold on. Try it. I'm trying that. Let's see. I'm gonna tell you exactly where it is. All right.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 28.
37, I think, is what I want. Go ahead.
And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them.
Right? They shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beast of the land devour them. You get the point? Like that's what our oppressor does to us. I think I have one in Ezekiel 37 as well. Go ahead. Let me hear you.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 26, verse 22. I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children and destroy your cattle and make you few in number. And your highways shall be desolate.
I'll take that. And that's what the beasts do. What's another one of the luxuries? Abortion. Right? Not the actual act of it, but the downstream, product, the byproduct of abortion. You have to treat the fetus like it's, raw material you're pulling from the ground, like iron or oil. You get the point? From the fetus comes what? The stem cell research, them little growth cells things and all the cloning things and stuff they're doing. It comes from that. You get the point? That's a luxury they enjoy. And they say, well, listen, we, control the population. They can't feed the kids anyway. We just, we helping out the next generation who gonna have to put these Negroes in jail anyhow. They're better off, where, they're contributing to society right here. Right. They're contributing to, the advancement of our people. They're enjoying the Virginian luxuries. They're enjoying more of it. Come on.
I have the
Go ahead. Please play it if you could. Is there a way to play it loud that everybody can hear? Can just turn the volume up on it? Because it should play. It should be play. Go ahead.
And when I did so, as I opened the door, I said, "Hey, come here for a minute." And that's when he turned and said, "What the are you gonna do about it?"
No sweat. Is it playing? Just let me know when it's done, all right? Let me know when it reached the part, because I won't be able to hear it.
Yes.
But let me know when it reached that part with
push him back and yell at him to get back. And again, he just pushed the door shut and just stares at me. And as I look back at him, all of a sudden, punches start flying.
He threw the first punch?
Yes. Yes, I didn't know if I'd be able to withstand another hit
That
like that.
bastard.
Where's your gun at that point?
I keep it on my right hip. I take it out and I come up, I point it at him. And when I said, get back or I'm going to shoot you. And then
It's
his
not coming out
response
there
was
at all?
immediately, he grabbed the top
The
of
audio?
my gun. And when he
That's
grabbed it, he
crazy.
said, "You're too much of a to shoot me." And while he's doing that, I can feel his hands trying to come over my hand and get inside the trigger guard and try and shoot me.
Yeah,
with
it's
my own
delayed
guns.
there, so but
And that's when I pulled the
don't do
trigger
it
for the
there.
first time.
What happened?
Didn't go off. The gun was actually being jammed by his hand on top of the firearm. So I tried again and again, another click. And this time I'm like, this has to work, otherwise I'm going to be dead. He's going to get this gun away from me. Something's going to happen and I'm going to be dead. So I pull a third time and it finally goes off.
That was the first thing you'd ever used.
Yes, it was.
We say so the gun jam
Yes.
And then what happens?
because he's so scared.
His aggression in his face, the intensity just increases. And he comes back in at me again. I was looking at him, I was just like, racket, expecting another hit, and I put my gun up and fired. Then I go to exit my car. And when I'm getting out, I use my walkie and I say, "Shots fired, send more cars." And I start chasing after Michael Brown.
Why not stay in the car? He's running away.
Because he's not, my job isn't to just sit and wait. You know, I have to see where this guy goes.
So you felt it was your duty to give chase?
Yes, it was. That's what we were trained to do.
He runs out of the car, gets about 30 or 40 feet. You can now get out of the car.
Oh, yeah?
You start to follow him.
He's out chasing him now.
Okay, skip me to the part where you say he shot him in the top of his head.
When he stopped, he turned and faced me. And as he does that, his right hand...
I don't need the whole interview. I just need the part where he shot him in the top of his head.
Fist at his side, and he starts charging me.
What did you think when you saw that?
I didn't know. I mean, my initial thought was, is there a weapon in there?
Even though he hadn't pulled something out earlier when he was confronting you.
It was still just the unknown. And again, we're taught to let me see your hand. After he's coming at me, and I decided
Somebody else, go ahead.
He's charging him.
And
Right, he charging him, and then he sees the top of his head. Somebody else look up for me,
I don't know
Thomas
where, but I
Thistlewood.
saw his body kind of just flinch a little. And after that, I paused and I again yelled, "Stop, you on the ground," giving him the opportunity to stop. And he ignored all the commands and he just kept running. And so after he kept running again, I shot another series of shots. And at least one of those hit him because I saw the flinch. Well, this time he's about 15 feet away. So I start backpedaling because he's just getting too close and he's still not stopping. He gets to
You
about
shot him
15
in?
feet, and as he does that, he kind of starts to move forward like he's going to
series
tackle
shot
me.
police with
And I
us.
looked down my barrel of my gun and
Now
I
he's about
fired. And
15
what I
feet
saw
away.
was his head, and that's where it went.
Come on, come on. That's too much buildup. Yeah, damn, man. I just remember it's the Sabbath day. I'm interested no more. Come on.
Absolutely convinced.
That's
You
it?
Look through your heart and your
Right.
mind.
He fired his head. He ain't get the part where the reports ask him, would he do it again? If you didn't have it, that's fine. You could just look it up on your own. You'll see the reporter asked him, will you do this again? And he said yes. He said, he ain't got no problem doing it again. It's just part of the Virginian Luxuries. The Virginian Luxuries is, give me also the in the Apocrypha with the sister with 7 sons. I believe it's 2 Maccabees chapter 7. All right. Who has Thomas Thistlewood? I'm gonna give him a tip. Go ahead.
Come. Thomas Thistlewood was a British-born planter in colonial Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Thistlewood migrated to the western end of the colony of Jamaica, where he became a plantation overseer, plantation owner, and slaver.
Right. So he was a British-born planter, meaning a regular farmer. Right. We're almost done to her. We're almost done. We're gonna be gone. Right. He was a regular farmer, but he ended up going down there to the colony to become an overseer, and to manage the farm so the slaves could pick and cut whatever they need to cut. Right? Keep going. That's all? Nah, I need some more on him. His history is long and wide. Anybody else have Thomas Thistlewood right there? Please.
His lengthy and detailed diary is an important historical document chronicling the history of Jamaica and slavery, there during the 18th century.
Right. So during the 18th century, right, which is what, the 1700s, Once again, late 1700s is the advent of the Industrial Revolution. We are talking around the same time this Virginian, no sweat, these Virginian luxuries painting came about and the sentiment. Now, his diary of slavery in the Caribbean and the colonies, in the British colonies, it is today an important historical record, right? About the times. Right. Read some more about this devil's diary.
Okay. The diary includes a detailed account of the brutal treatments of his slaves.
Right? It includes a detailed account of the brutal treatment of his slaves. Go ahead.
Okay. Including his torture and rape of enslaved women.
Including his torture and rape of enslaved women. It's more about the torture and rape of the enslaved women than anything else. Right? And he goes on to tell you in the diary how he loved one of them who he raped. Like a real psychopath. Go ahead.
Okay. This award routinely punished his slaves with fierce floggings.
Routinely. Right. Read it again. Salakia.
This award routinely punished his slaves with fierce floggings.
Now listen, I don't even be saying I'm crazy when I say I want to sell some of these babies and make these devils piss their pants when I ride up on that big old what's called them draft horses, them Cheshire eyes, them black ones, brother. He routinely beats slaves for fun. You can't routinely punish somebody. It's it's just that life doesn't work like that. You're doing it for fun. Right. You understand? You're just doing it. He's doing it because he likes doing this shit. Right. Go ahead.
And other cruel and gruesome punishments.
Other cruel and gruesome punishments. Right? He routinely do it, and he was so proud about what he was doing. He wrote all this shit down in a diary. Right. He kept a chronicle of it. Right. You know what I did today? Yeah, I peeled that nigga's skin. I did this. I rubbed salt in it. And he screamed and yelled and blah, 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 blah. He was enjoying Virginian luxuries. They tell you the name of his plantation? No? Egypt. The name of his plantation was called Egypt. This devil here was not playing. He is like, I know who I have in captivity. I'm going to beat y'all like a Hebrew slave. In fact, call it Egypt. Right. Go ahead.
Known as the Diary of Thomas Thistlewood. Mm-hmm. The 14,000-page diary provides.
How much?
14,000 page.
Now think about how much raping he had to do to write 14,000 pages. Right. Rapings and beatings. Right. Go ahead.
I have how much raping he's done.
Let me hear that part.
His diary chronicles 3,852 acts of sexual intercourse with 138 black women.
That's Virginian luxuries.
Right.
He went down. He was a farmer.
Right.
The diary with crops, and the soil in Jamaica is so rich and fertile, and the sun is better, and he didn't write about none of that. He write about the excesses of slavery, what he enjoyed about being in charge, what he enjoyed about being in power, and it was the abuse and the rape of us. And which, as the sister was saying, leads to the destruction of the black family, because now it's a hard position for a brother or any man, whether you're a son or a brother or a husband or whatever, to stand there powerless and not do anything. And then be fed a doctrine that tells you deserve this shit. And you have Christian preachers that tell you forget about this. Meanwhile, they're ready to, lynch Whoopi Goldberg because she say, racism had nothing to do with the Holocaust. And she was effing right. And that was white on white crime. That was absolute white on white crime. If anything, all the gypsies they killed, I'll take that. Because them gypsies, they don't like them. They treat them halfway like niggas. All the gypsies they killed, it wasn't just Jewish people in Buchenwald. You understand? It was 6 million Jews, I think 2 million Ethiopians, and like 7 or 8 million Romani, which is them gypsy people. But they never talk about the next 10 million people who was in the Holocaust. Never ever talk. It's always Jewish man, Jewish man. More people who were not Jewish died in the Holocaust than Jewish people. But they always talk about them like and now they try to jam her for saying race had nothing to do with race. Really had nothing to do with this. This is just white greediness, absolute white greediness. The problem is Whoopi Goldberg also enjoyed Virginian luxuries. You understand? She enjoyed it because at one time, what's the fool name? Ted Danson. Ted Danson would have to force her. She willingly went with him now. So she enjoyed the Virginian luxuries, but now you can't stand for the oppressor one day and now speak again. You can't bite the hand that feed you. You can't do that. And now she's learning the harsh lesson that she's a nigger. If that hair and that face and them lips didn't help and them hips didn't remind her she was black, now this suspension she about to get should remind her. And now what's the next thing you're going to hear about Whoopi Goldberg? You're going to hear about her drug problem or some sexual deviance she had with some little child. Come on.
Ted Danson, he said he used to F Whoopi Goldberg in the A every week.
Because it's Virginian luxuries. Like I bring it out for that specific purpose. The things they was doing was so public, it was almost like this broad talk about having sex with a white man. Like it was almost like an achievement for him and her. Right? When they was, their heyday and they're talking about this and talking about that. They enjoying the Virginian luxuries. But now it's biting her. It's come back to bite her. You get the point? Nick Cannon enjoyed Virginian luxuries too until he opened his mouth and talk about the oppressor. You get the point? Today, your Virginian luxuries have not only extended to poor white trash like them cops, them racist cops, and them, neighborhood watch, and them, regular white men who want to kill everybody, but it also extends to black people who subscribe to that Christianity, who don't take the mark of the beast, who don't now see themselves more as the oppressor than black people and now turn on black people. Now we start to enjoy our own Virginian luxury. You have someone, Thomas Thistlewood? Please.
He systematically raped and enslaved girls and women.
Girls and women, young girl. I think there's one he wrote about that was a young girl, and he claimed he loved her. Go ahead.
Those that ran away were whipped and put in chains, collars, or placed in field gangs.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, you get punished more for running away, right? The oppressor has a word for it. Forget what it's called. They coined it a mental disorder. Repeated running away from the plantation. They say the slaves had a mental disorder. I forget. Somebody could look it up, please. It's a legitimate, like how you would say schizophrenia, or go ahead. Drapetomania, something like that. Drapetomania or something like that. Read the definition.
Drapetomania was considered a conjunctural mental illness that in 1851, American physician Samuel A. Cartwright hypothesized as the cause of enslaved Africans fleeing captivity. That's right.
We must be crazy, to not wake up everyone like, let me go see what Thomas Thistle will have for me today. We got to be crazy because we don't want to get whipped and star in his damn, novel, his diary. We don't want to get raped and beaten and salt rubbed everywhere and pieces of you cut off and flayed and whatever else. We catch some young girl in a barn somewhere and stick everything in the barn in her. Because we don't want to do that. Why are these slaves always running away? Why is like, to them, it's like you leave the front door cracked and the house dog always runs in the street. Something's wrong with him. Why is he always want to run away? Right. For a dog, you'd be like, well, he's a dog. He just want to go and run. Right. But for black people, they looked at it for us like we have a mental disease because we are supposed to stay there and accept the abuse and just be part of their luxuries and never, ever, ever want something different. Right. Never, ever want something different. If black people got, what's it called? Drapetomania. If black people have drapetomania, them January 6th riots have drapetomania. Right. Because they rebelled because they didn't want no more of whatever. They said they was feeling oppressed. They said they was feeling like they were slaves and second-class citizens. Well, them niggas got a mental disorder too. Right. You get the point? YAHANNA. Go ahead.
So like the name of the book that I just asked about a while ago, dealing with the sisters and the guy that was working operations on him.
Medical apartheid.
Medical apartheid. Like, during that time, if I'm correct, in the 18th century, like the same way how they created a whole term because like not wanting these things to happen to us. Like back then, they really thought it was a term like that they thought black people didn't feel pain.
That's again the whole medical field. You could consider Virginian Luxuries because they was able to do extensive, whatever they call experiments or whatever in the name of science, but they enjoyed that shit. So, it was a luxury. And part of that medical Virginian Luxuries, as Barack saying, they have to tell themselves black people don't feel pain. Black people like animals, our threshold for pain is way higher. So certain pains that everybody else experience, don't worry about it, which is where you get the opioid epidemic from today. Because they willingly give Percocets and the Xannies or whatever as painkillers to them oppressors. But you go in there with a bullet in your head and an axe stuck in your chest, go home, sleep it off. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. You get the point? Everything comes from that Virginian Luxuries. Like they enjoy our destruction so much. So much. Let me get one last scripture, Bakwash. We're almost done, all right? Give me the blood of the saints. Come on.
So if I could,
Mm-hmm.
he even named his torture.
Please go ahead quickly.
Thistlewood invented a form of torture called Derby's dose, which entailed flogging the slave, rubbing lime juice on their wounds,
Yikes,
and having a fellow slave defecate into their mouth.
Brother, this dude was in charge of a whole plantation, not a crop. The whole plantation. Don't nobody say nothing when I describe about shipping them babies in boxes. Don't tell me nothing. This fool here and his diary is an important piece of historical record today. But they don't teach nothing about this though. This is considered critical race theory. We can't teach that to make these little oppressor children feel bad. But your foreparents had to, brother, a lime, not even the one that turns yellow, the green one. In your mouth it burned with no cut. In your mouth is like, what the hell is that? Now imagine you got beaten and lime is in there. And another slave got to just, it breaks the morale of us. As they enjoy life, our morale is broken. As they enjoy life. And you see it today with LeBron, with the basketball. You see it with Nick Cannon. He like a damn court jester on the damn TV right now because of what he said before. Like we have to, shock and jive and just shut up and dribble so they could enjoy life. Their luxuries done, it done took to a whole other level. And now the average man and the rest of America could enjoy it. Give me Revelation 17 and start at 5.
Revelation chapter 17, verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
And that's America. America is Babylon the Great, the mother of all whores, and the mother of all whoredom. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
Say it again.
And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
Say it one more time.
And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
That's their Virginian Luxuries. They're drunk with our blood right now. Absolutely drunk with it and don't want no other drink. That's their Douce. That's their Hennessy, their 1738, their Remy, the most expensive one, whatever you're drinking. That's the most expensive drink for them is the blood of the saints. Because the luxuries they enjoy, it's a depraved, violent, destructive type of thing. And they don't give a damn about it. So when the Bible says the blood gonna reach the horse's bridles, and Christ's vesture is going to be dipped with blood, just understand they earned it. Just understand that there's nothing you could do today to balance that scale. This is 14,000 pages of, brother, a crackhead couldn't write that damn novel out. With all the dreams and visions a crackhead have, He couldn't write 14,000 pages of nothing. Give me the angriest brother or sister. You couldn't write 14,000 pages of things you would do to the oppressor because of your anger. But this dude did it for fun. You don't understand who you're playing with. All right, come on.
So like I said, if I may to, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, sir, in Revelations it also says the other nations too. I think partook of this cup or were drunken or something along those lines. And I was watching a video today on some Moabite, some Chinese man. They went to some college and they were speaking. They had a convention speaking against critical race theory, two devils. And they had the students, they opened the forum for the students to speak. And some little frail Chinese cat stood up and he got the microphone and he was like, my parents were immigrants and they came over here and they make six figures and they never had the victim mentality and they never called themselves victims. And I'm sitting here like, you arrogant slob. Like, you think that, you know, it's really angering to see how the whole world has partaken, like you said, in this cup of the blood of the saints. Like, your people were able to make a life for themselves off the backs of the people who've been here. Like, they didn't come here and do it on their own.
Yeah. That's exactly how it goes. And not just partake in it, they ignore it.
Right.
It's one thing you in there getting it on and you enjoying it.
Right.
It's another thing where you trying to act like you so noble.
Exactly.
And you so respected, and the year of the tiger, and let's say this is the year of the tiger. Right. The year of the tiger and Buddha be praised, and we so noble, but you ignoring the rape and the defecating in the mouth and all, you ignoring all that shit in the corner.
Right.
You get the point?
Did you still want Second Maccabees 7?
I think we got the time. You all know Second Maccabees 7, where the king who wanted them 7 boys to eat the pork. No, he could have just killed them.
Right.
He could have just killed them and left their bodies to hang, but he enjoyed Virginian luxuries by cutting off limbs and peeling off their skin and ripping out their tongue and doing it one by one. The one who he boiled, it's ridiculous. Threw him in a hot pot. A hot pot, brother. You know, your skin stick to that shit. Yeah. And he was rolling around on there until he died. That's Virginian luxuries. That's it. And it's going on today, daily, on a low level and on a high level. But Black History Month. With that, pass the class over the priest and officer. Yeah, please.
I.S.U.P.K. I.S.U.P.K. security announcement. We the I.S.U.P.K. out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, out of Commander General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shut themselves to the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. And there's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. In the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Means 10th in Hebrew is pronounced I.S.U.P.K. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation, Purim, the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month. Monday the 14th of February and Tuesday the 15th of February, 2022. You can find this in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20 through 31. Remind Occupant Akwakia to check on social media, such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headband, and scarf. And with that, I say imagine, which means to stand. We'll give a courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel. Imagine Shabbat, imagine Barak.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Yahweh Shem Yahshua.
Y'all give him a time. Saul, which means to turn. Sisters of Imagine, which means to stand. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courteous salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Mount Shabbat, Majim, Barak,
Yahweh Shema Alatham Ba'Shem Yahushua.
Y'all give them a time. Class dismissed.
Let me know when we off, huh?